Is that not working? And we're back. All right, what should I draw now? Yeah, I don't know why I have two of them right now. I do. That layer scares me. Because I'm a coward. Show you guys how we comp up comp up things like menus. Whoa. That made it go black. That was weird. Sorry. How many layers are in the file? So many. So many. So this is how we comp up menus. Like right now, we're working on teleport since it's pretty poor how it works, and so we kind of sequence it out. It needs to, like, one of the tricks with teleporting is like it works very different than everything else in the game. Like if you install a laser, you click the laser, shoot, and then it shoots. Teleport isn't that elegant in that you have to kind of get on a teleporter, decide who's going and where they're going to go. And the file is huge. And so we had to figure out so that it works just like the lasers. And so I'll kind of take you through the sequence. So you select the guy, and then you have to essentially have him use the teleporter machine, the console, and then you have a teleporter pad, and then whenever someone's standing on it, it glows, and then you, if you click, you can choose which target and where they're going to go. And it uses your battery and your power. So we're going to kind of redo how teleportation works. And so that's kind of how we do a comp. We kind of figure out, like, okay, what's working about this? Okay, then we basically execute it in the engine and discovered the 10 problems we didn't consider. Teleporters can go. So one of the problems we've got is that teleporters can go to a ship, an enemy ship, or just another ship, an alien ship, or they can go down to a planet. So if you're in orbit around a planet, you essentially have to choose a target, and so it's just complicated. We really like the Nintendo style of design, which is like, how do you do everything in one click, and it makes it harder to do things in one click. So now what to draw? Probably another trilax. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Alternate Entorians. That was our old logo. This was going to be our logo. More balloon. And we decided not to do that. So let's see. So I'll show you some of our concept art. So here is some Entorian concept art. And I really like, if you kind of look in the background, you can see like this cloaked person in the background and more of these greens, just varying suits. I also like these 8 armed Antorians. So I wanted to. I've been meaning to try and expand their culture. So let's try a peaceful Antorian and a warlike Antorian. Yes. So our Borg is these guys, the Groll. Here, I'll show you their assets. Let's see. Some of the stuff you guys shouldn't see yet, but we'll just show it to you anyway. Where is the Cortex? Trilax. Volcar. Oh my god. Where are they? Ah. No. Yeah, here they are. So they're cube-based, very frightening. Show us all the things. Alright, let's see. What would an Antorian ambassador look like? I personally like to get the shape of them by making them naked. I know it's kind of weird, but without their armor. It's usually how I start. Kind of a paper doll thing. Just like when I used to play with Barbies. I mean, how brony man? I've never heard of that. That's hilarious. No. That's funny though. A brony. My little brony. Alright. These guys, I'm going to go for. I've always pictured the Antorians as the kind of the Roman, German type guys. So I'm going to go with like a Roman look here. Kind of a sci-fi. Not feeling that. Let's take it back a step. It's more of a no, that's not right. Like what's kind of cool is these collars around the concept art. So I'm going to try and capture like these kind of highfalutin collars. What I really like is that we portray the Antorians as being this dumb race, and it would be fun to kind of juxtapose it with like their science class, who's actually really smart and highly cultured. Yeah, it's feeling better. What's going on, Aaron? Oh, yeah. Let me get you that. They'll do, yeah. Back.
There's no power off. There's no power off.
See, I'm not liking them in a dress. I think that doesn't. It reminds me too much of my Dorian. So we're going to lose that. We're going to give him Hanso. There we go. If you have questions or anything, feel free to ask.
Makes sense.
Because I'm lonely. Something I always like too is making really skinny legs. Nice. Favorite color is probably power red. This isn't working, but I'll see it through. Doesn't feel right. I like this. These really heavy set from the front. Let's try this. Back to the basic shape. Whoa. A Viking party. The problem with the Galaxies is conceived to not have any story whatsoever. You kind of make your own story. Like, we're not going to have exposition, so that we don't. One of the bigger problems with mobile was that we had to write everything, and so it was really time-staking to essentially write your adventures, and we'd rather that it's kind of your own. We want Galaxies to be your own version of Star Trek, essentially. Like, okay, I've got my own crew, and they had their own journeys, and I created my own enemies and things like that. And we don't really want to tell you exactly how it happens. And so when you ask, are we going to see what happens to Silas and the Grohl vessel? Silas was conceived as like a Khan, like, someone that would be constantly going out for vengeance and be a real recurring character. But again, we just didn't like that we were essentially telling you the story rather than you making your own story. So I think we may bring him back in mobile, but for this, like another goal of ours is no written words. Exactly. Con! So you can figure out everything without having to read anything. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a tricky thing. Yeah, see, like we'd rather like what Manitou Times just said. We'd rather that like we don't say that this isn't like what did I put? We had an alien knockoff. Like again, I don't know if you saw this guy, but like we have like this should look like the it should look very familiar for Star Trek fans. The black goo that ate the girl on The Next Generation. But we don't want to tell you that's what happened. And one of the things we want is like something we talk about a lot is the death of Spock, and how like we can basically create that. You have your own version of Spock, some character that your captain gets along with, and he dies. It should be more than just simply like, how do I replace that character? Like it traumatizes your crew and things like that. If we can do that, then the game will be really basically exactly what we want. So when you ask about like the funnier elements, like we would rather not write the funny parts. We'd rather just put them in there, like have like a derelict ship with eggs inside of it, but it doesn't have to be a direct Aliens ripoff. Like maybe you get inside the middle of the area and it's a dance party. You got it. Yep, it's very much XCOM. It's 100% XCOM. You fill in the story. That's basically the primary goal, is that it's your crew. You're kind of filling in the story yourself. But we help you, so it's not just like, leaving you to sit there and go like, oh, imagine this. Like we want to help. Like one of the things we talked about is like if you leave a crew member behind on a planet, what happens to them? And we'll basically have a scenario generator that basically says, okay, this guy like becomes a mortal enemy or is captured by an Antorian crew, and so because of your actions, you have a new mission, not because we wrote the mission. And how relevant and how much you want to finish that mission is dependent on how much you invested in that character. And so that way it's really dynamic, instead of us basically saying, hey, you should care about Princess Sarlacc, and you really don't care at all. Yeah, that's like Cyclone said, actually one of the things we want is if people want to do narrative stories, the science mod tool will be able to do that. We're just not going to do it for you. We want to create the canvas so that if you want to write that stuff, you're more than welcome to do it. But we've kind of challenged ourselves to basically not write it. Yeah, and science, when you see the newest build, we'll probably do a Twitch stream next week of what science is looking like. But science is going to be quite a bit further along than the last time it was released. So, yeah, you'll have quite a few new tools. Yeah, it's not working either. Nope. That's not right. I think the profile is what the problem is. The shape of the character is not helping. Yeah, one of our goals is that we don't script any of the random encounters. Like one of the things we basically kind of qualified it as is like a nemesis system, where essentially, we give the canvas for we'll generate an Antorian ship, a hull. We'll call it 10 of them, so you're never 100% sure. Like 10 smalls with different layouts, and then you have the crew that actually mans it, and they all have different motivations. So some of them might want to trade with you. Some of them might want to capture you. Some of them might want your technology. And when you, they'll also react to how you kind of interact with them. So if you kill them or you spare them and things like that, they'll remember that. And you can start to basically grow the universe. So that our goal is not to basically say, here's the scenario like an FTL, where essentially it's like, okay, there's the one that I always remember is the spider scenario, which is essentially like, hey, you go into this thing and there's a spider and your guys die. And I always found it frustrating because I was like, so I don't get to see any of this and I just lose a guy, which I never really liked about that. So that's something that we're trying to kind of avoid, which is like, all these scenarios have context, and you've built the context. We didn't just dish it on you. Yeah, in science we're going to probably release for free, but yes, that's exactly what science does, is you can set up your own guys. We're going to probably put science out for free, so that we can start, really kind of getting the mod community going. Huh. Yeah, no, yeah, you'll never have a scenario where essentially we just cheat you, where you just lose a guy. It would be completely of your own actions. Yeah, I agree completely. I find that to be lazy design. No, I'm not calling the FTL guys lazy. Just saying I don't like that design aspect. And they're lazy. Yeah, we've talked about that. I think one of the problems with the cover system is that one of the things about our game is it's really not going to be as combat focused as mobile. And so you're right. Right now, the only thing to do is basically have open field combat. But I think once you see, like, we'd rather not spend a bunch of time polishing combat and more times polishing things like when you have a visitor for diplomacy. One of the things that's going to be tricky is that's what I'm drawing right now. It's a diplomat for the Antorians. And one of the tricks is going to be how do you make a diplomat happy from the Antorian Empire? Well, that means you've got to cook Antorian dishes and have Antorian art up, and it's kind of a production, and all your guys get really stressed and tired dealing with them and stuff like that. And then some of your crew members might not like Antorians, so that becomes a problem. And so we want your crew to essentially kind of tell the story, which is this guy's personality, is a xenophobe, so he doesn't like other races, and so you got to kind of keep him away from a diplomat. So one of the goals is not to necessarily focus on any one aspect. So you're right. Right now, combat, person-to-person combat, isn't very deep. And I don't know how much deeper it's going to get. It's all within the context of everything else. So the game it's more close to a mile wide and an inch deep rather than, combat is really strategic. We're not competing with StarCraft. StarCraft's going to be a much better RTS than us, but our game's going to give you options like, what kind of trade do you do? What kind of diplomacy do you have? All those types of things. Yes, alien races on planets are definitely going to, and that's another thing, one of the things that alien races on planets are going to do is they'll kind of be I don't know if any of you guys are Civ 5 fans, but they'll be city-states, where they're kind of neutral parties helping guide the galaxy, where they'll say, we've got all this stuff for trade, and then it's between you and a captain to try and get, ship all that stuff around the galaxy, things like that. Saving. Ship combat will change. There'll be no more mini games. It'll be far more like, so one of the big things is going to be the ability to invade enemy ships. And so since you can kind of manage both of those things at the same time, like things like hacking are going to be introduced, diplomacy. And so, again, ship combat as a whole is going to be kind of similar. I would say that like the primary focus for Star Command Galaxies is everything but combat. So we feel pretty comfortable with a combat model. Clearly, things are going to get upgrades and be reimagined. But for the most part, our goal and focus is like, what do you do when you aren't killing the shit out of everything? Because that was a problem with mobile, is essentially it just became a combat simulator. And we wanted something that was more of a Star Trek simulator. Like, yeah, I am using a Senseek. Big, whatever, 22-inch. You won't be able to capture. Well, so that's one of the things that, yes, eventually you. I don't know if you'll be able to capture them, but one of the things we've talked about is the ability to not necessarily take another race's ship, but to essentially control another race, where you'd be the Trilax, and your ship systems work completely different. If you're an Antorian, your ship systems it's more like StarCraft, where the Zerg and the Terran are very, very different. So it's something we've talked about, but it's like, look for that like towards the end of the year, if ever. This guy isn't working either. This has been depressing. This has been a depressing session with the Antorians. Not really happy with these guys. The trader came out pretty good. Happy with him. Not happy with this guy. Well, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to like this concept art. I really like the idea that there's a not necessarily a soft side, but a regal side to the Antorian Empire versus just like they're just like this warlike monster. Like I think that they're still basically they're the Nazis of our game. They're the bad guys, but I think it's more fun if they have like kind of a Romulan thing where there's a lot of culture, even though it's not necessarily peaceful. So it'd be nice to juxtapose them, but this guy just came out flat. It just doesn't feel right. Yeah, that's the one we did. The trader is what I just did. I guess I used all my abilities on him because the Antorians aren't working. And I usually love trying the Antorians, but he is not working. Yeah, I like it. I like what you're saying, Cyclone. I mean, what I liked about this concept art is that they have like, again, they're kind of like Romans. You know, let's just open the damn thing. Like I like this. I like the shape of like the cloth right over here. I don't think you can see my mouse cursor. Over here. Yeah, let's turn it to a color you can actually see. Right here. That cloth is nice. And I just like that it's not entirely just this kind of cartoonish. My favorite, I'll show you my favorite concept art. We haven't really gotten into it yet, but it's the Varians. I like these guys too. Nope. Like the Variants will be fun because there's some really fun ideas. Like I like this kind of this scene of like the elderly Bavarian. The Bavarians were really poorly written in mobile. We just didn't know what to do with them. But we we wrote them as like these joking characters, and it really fell flat. So they'll be the most. Out of all the races, they'll be the most pronounced and changed. They're not going to be like that anymore. Like this Bavarian warrior is really fun, and like protect the babies. Like their hatchery is really important to them, and you can see that when you're gonna So we took that. Here's their ship assets, so you can see. Here's the hatchery that you'll be able to see when you go examine their ship. Along with their engine and stuff like that. Bavarian art. That's funny, Cyclone. I like that. There actually is no ambassador. The general is the ambassador. Oh. But they have like branches inside their ship as well. We really like that idea. And that they would fly around. They didn't even have floors. We're not sure if we can actually execute that. Yeah, Vader. Classic. Like we have these. I love these things. Like these larvae that the Antorians have. I've already shown you too much. And then you get to these guys, which just make no sense whatsoever. You suck. Like, if there's comedic relief in our game, it's actually the Trilax. To me, they're the kind of the... you can have a biker dude and a, kind of a Adventure Time trader type guy. They're pretty fun. And we haven't gone back and examined the Mydorian yet. One of 1,000 things to do. No Mydorian on in here. Not all species. It will definitely be Midorian, Trilaks, Antorian, Vokar. Avarian doesn't work because of the shape of the figures. We just can't get them to work on the human shape. And the human sprite sheet, or the crew sprite sheet, is massive. So it's not a simple head swap. So right now, that would be a modder thing where someone out there would have to pick up Avarians and redo all their animations for a Star Command crew, because I don't think we're going to have time to do that. That would be a huge undertaking. I'd like to see Avarians be crew, though. That'd be fun. And then who else? Who else do we have in the game? Vokar. I think that's it. And the Groll can't be. Sprite sheet is gigantic. It's huge. It has like, I can't even tell you how many layers. Too many. Yeah, it's big. Groll are kind of our Borg. Groll cannot become your crew. They're kind of our anytime we need, like, essentially, like, one of the things we've talked about is you don't run into the Groll until the last two-thirds of the game, last third of the game, however you want to look at it, so that you can use the Groll as kind of our linchpin for when we need, like, a really ultimate bad guy. Like, their technology is weird. Let's see if I can find their ship. I can. Let's see. Here's my desktop. It's just as disorganized. No, these are the planets. Yeah. Yes, you will be able to pick out your captain species. All that stuff. A lot of that stuff is, and we would never do that. We're probably just going to keep our price at $30. If we can keep that price at $30 and just continue to make stuff, we'd never charge for DLC, because it just makes sense for, you know, that can keep the doors open and all that stuff, and we can just continue to maintain the game. That's kind of what Kerbal has done, and Prison Architect. You charge enough that you never have to, like, essentially charge for new content. So you just say, okay, if you're willing to pay $30, we'll just keep updating it. But yes, a lot of the old game features, like being able to pick your crew, hire your crew, you know, create their captain, creator, get in a ship combat. All those features are going to be in the game. We just started, development-wise, we started with the stuff we were most nervous about, like random planet generation was a big one, a big concern for us. So we started there. Our new building engine, we started with those two things because we knew that those would be huge. Hugely different than Star Command Mobile, and as we've gone along, we've gotten closer and closer to the things we're more comfortable with, like combat. Combat's really well established in our universe, so we wanted to start with the things we were most nervous about. So as time goes on, it'll get closer and closer to the game you guys are more familiar with. I understand why everyone's like, where the hell is the combat? But we started with the stuff that was going to take us the longest. Here's all of our classes that you're going to be able to be. They're not final, but like security, medic, hackers, etc. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think we're just more traditionalists in that regard. I mean, maybe some stuff like that, but those games work because of the peacocking effect. Our game isn't multiplayer, so you can't really peacock to other players. You can't show off all the stuff you've collected. So yeah, prisoners is so yeah, a brig. I think I have the brig assets in here, but yes, a brig is something we've got planned. I should find the screenshots, like the bar. Like here, you can see. Let's see, where's the captain's quarters? Yeah, so here you can see, like, here's the captain's quarters. Here's the captain's chair. Captain's art, things like that. Rugs. However, I am going to call this in about 5 minutes here. Time to get home and eat the food. Eat all the food. This guy's wearing a Snuggie. Yeah, I'd love to make those. That would be up to you. If you put yourself in a situation where you have a one-on-one duel to the death on a planet with an alien species, that again, that's the kind of game we're trying to make. Is that stuff happens organically and not because we told you it should happen. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yes, 100%, yes. Anyone that does, yes. Can people charge for the content that they make for Star Command? 100%, yes. If you get in and you make the Avarian sprite sheet for Star Command, and you want to charge $1 for it, we do not care at all. Totally all for it. There is a concept we had. No, we won't take a single cut. Not one dime. No, that is definitely not how we plan on making our dollars. If someone takes the time out of their day to make that stuff, Steam will take a cut, but we won't at all. No, that is not the goal. We really want to support, like, we're all kind of artists at heart, and so I'd have a huge problem, ethical problem, charging for people's work. So should we do this again? Maybe we'll make the. Would you guys be interested in seeing a live Twitch for dev? Oh no, you would. Yeah, Cyclone. If you're interested in making mods, our goal is not to exploit modders. It's to, I mean, the very first stuff, that's how we got started in games, was making mods for like Duke Nukem and stuff like that. Deving things like horrible, like right now, what are we deving? Oh, Tim is deving science, so he might do a live dev of science. Well, we'll post it. We'll try and give a little bit more warning next time. Probably do that on Friday or something. Have Tim do a live dev, so you can see the other end. All right, cool. Tim's done radio too, so he's a much better host than me. Yeah, and we'll definitely do a playthrough of the game. Right now we're in cursor state hell, so the game is kind of, it's not quite ready to show anything off just yet. It's really kind of in transition right now. Why we get, when you can't click on things, that's a problem. So, yeah, all the food. Well, thanks for coming, guys. We'll give more warning next time. We'll give more than literally that we're doing it right this second, but we'll probably try and make it a regular thing, maybe every Wednesday or something. So, thanks for watching me make terrible art. And, yeah. Pick up the alpha. It's online right now. Go get it. And tell your friends to get it. Tell 3 of your friends to go buy the Star Command alpha. The Galaxy's alpha. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.